There are nights when the most exhausting thing is not how quiet the room is. It is the fact that your mind refuses to be silent. It brings back a conversation that ended a long time ago. It takes you back to a relationship you know you can no longer save. It makes you check your phone one more time, even though deep down you understand that the message you are waiting for may never come. You wonder what you did wrong. You wonder whether that person still thinks about you. You wonder how they can keep moving forward with their life, while you remain trapped in the memories the two of you once created together. The more you try to stop thinking, the louder your mind becomes. The more you try to forget, the more clearly you remember. The more you try to move on, the more you feel that a part of you is still standing still in the past. That is why loneliness can become so painful. Loneliness does not only appear when no one is beside you. You can sit with your family work, alongside your colleagues, talk with friends or smile in a crowded place, yet still feel an emptiness inside that no one can reach. Because sometimes loneliness does not come from the absence of people. It comes from the things you still have not been able to let go of. You do not only miss a person, you miss the way they once made you feel understood. You miss the feeling of being chosen, cared for, and seen as someone important. You miss the version of yourself that existed when you were with them. A version of you that smiled more, hoped more, and believed you did not have to face life alone. When that person left your life, your mind did not only lose a relationship, it also lost the sense of safety you had connected to them. So your mind begins to return to the past. It replays the beautiful moments. It imagines conversations that never happened. It wonders how things might have turned out differently if on that day you had said something else, made another choice, or tried one more time. The mind creates new endings for a story that has already ended, because it is still not ready to accept that some things, no matter how beautiful they once were, are not meant to stay forever. But according to the teachings of the Buddha, suffering does not come only from what happened. Suffering grows when we hold on to what has already changed and refuse to accept that it no longer belongs to the present. Letting go does not mean the memory was unimportant. Letting go does not mean your love was not sincere. Letting go simply means you stop asking the past to return before you allow yourself to find peace in the present. In this video, we will explore 5 Buddhist teachings that can help you stop overthinking, understand loneliness more deeply, turn time alone into healing stillness, and gradually rediscover peace within yourself. But before you can let go of a person, a memory, or a relationship, you need to see something even more important. Are you truly holding on to that person, or are you only holding on to the way they once made you feel? If at the end of the previous section you realize that what you are holding on to is not necessarily a person, but the feeling they once gave you, then that is the true beginning of transformation. Because according to the Buddha's teachings, we rarely suffer because of the event itself. We suffer because of the way the mind clings to it. Try to think of someone you still cannot forget. Do you really miss only their face? Or is what hurts more deeply the feeling of being loved when you were with them? Perhaps you miss the evenings when the two of you talked together. You miss having someone who would always listen after a long day. You miss the feeling of being awaited, cared for, and reminded that you were not alone. Sometimes what you regret losing is not the person. It is the version of yourself you were when you were with them. A version of you that was once full of hope. A version that felt safe. A version that believed the future would unfold the way you wanted it to. So when a relationship ends, the mind does not only lose a person, it can also feel as though it has lost a part of itself. That is when the cycle of overthinking begins. You wonder whether you said the wrong thing. You replay every conversation and search for one small detail that might have changed everything. You imagine dozens of different endings to the same story, hoping that in one of them that person chose to stay. At first, this may seem like you are searching for the truth. But in reality, you are trying to negotiate with the past. You hope that if you think long enough, analyze deeply enough, and understand everything clearly enough, the pain will disappear. Almost everyone has experienced this. We believe that answers will bring us peace. But day after day, the mind continues, asking the same questions. Why did this happen? What if I had tried a little harder? Do they still think about me? Not because those questions can change reality, but because the mind is deeply afraid of anything left unfinished. It always wants a clear explanation. It wants to know who was right and who was wrong. It wants to find a reason powerful enough to make all the suffering seem understandable. But life does not always give us an answer. Some breakups never come with an explanation. Some losses arrive without warning. Some people leave, and we may never know why. The Buddha taught that it is in moments like these that attachment begins to arise. We refuse to accept that some things are simply beyond our control. We want to hold on to what has already changed. We want to pull the past back into our lives. We want the future to unfold exactly as we imagined it. But the more tightly we hold on, the more we suffer. Imagine holding a handful of sand in your palm. If you keep your hand gently open, the sand remains. But if you squeeze it tightly out of fear of losing it, the sand slips through your fingers even faster. Life works in the same way. Often, what causes your suffering is not only that you have lost something, it is that you are still trying to hold on to it. That is why the Buddha spoke so often about letting go. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean denying what once happened. Letting go means no longer fighting the truth that everything is impermanent. People change, relationships change, emotions change. Even the person you are today is no longer the person you were a year ago. When you understand this, you begin to see that what needs to be released is not the person, but the attachment within your own mind. And to do that, you must first recognize one very important truth. Not everything your mind tells you is true. If in the previous section you realized that what causes your suffering is not the past itself, but the mind's attachment to the past, then the Buddha's first teaching will help you look more deeply into the true source of that attachment. It is a very simple idea, yet it has the power to change the way you understand every kind of pain in life. Just because a thought appears does not mean it is true. At first, this may sound easy to understand, but be honest with yourself. How many times have you allowed a single thought to shape the emotions of your entire day? Someone takes longer than usual to reply to your message, and your mind immediately tells you that they no longer care about you. A meeting ends without your boss smiling, and you begin to think that you must have done something wrong. A friend turns down your invitation to meet, and within minutes you convince yourself that the friendship is slowly coming to an end. What is important to notice is that in all of these situations, there is no real evidence that the story your mind is telling you is true. There is only a thought, but the mind is very quick to turn that thought into a conclusion. That is how the cycle of overthinking begins. One thought leads to an assumption. The assumption leads to anxiety. Anxiety creates fear, and fear produces dozens of new thoughts. Within just a few minutes, you have built an entire story in your head, even though almost nothing has changed in the outside world. The Buddha taught that the mind naturally tends to cling to the things that make it feel unsafe. It constantly looks for danger in order to protect you. That is a natural instinct. But the problem is that the mind does not always know the difference between real danger and the stories it creates on its own. Fear of the future can make your body tense, as though the feared event were happening right now. A painful memory can make your heart feel heavy, even if the event took place many years ago. We do not always live in the present. Very often we live inside thoughts about the past or the future. That is why so many people feel exhausted even when nothing serious has happened during the day. They are not tired because of life itself. They are tired from carrying hundreds of stories that the mind keeps creating. Try observing something very small. When a thought appears, you often immediately say, "I am failing. I am not good enough. I will be alone forever. I will never get through this." But if you look more closely, you will see that these statements are only the voice of the mind. They are not who you are, and they are not absolute truth. Instead of saying, "I will be alone forever," try saying, "This is a thought telling me that I will be alone forever." That small change in the way you observe your thoughts creates a great deal of distance. You are no longer becoming one with the thought. You begin to become the person who is observing it. That is the first step toward freedom. The Buddha did not teach us to erase every thought from the mind. That would be nearly impossible. He taught us to see thoughts for what they truly are. They come, and then they go, like clouds passing through the sky. No cloud remains forever. No storm lasts for eternity. And no single thought has the power to define your entire being unless you choose to hold on to it. The next time your mind whispers that you are not good enough, that everything will go wrong, or that you will never be happy again, do not believe it immediately. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it simply a thought passing through my mind? That question alone can interrupt the cycle of overthinking before it has the chance to carry you away. If today you realize that you have believed too many stories created by your own mind, leave the number 1 in the comments. It is not just a number. It is a reminder to yourself that from this day forward, you will learn to observe your thoughts instead of allowing them to control your life. Because once you stop believing everything your mind tells you, you will soon discover that there is an even deeper attachment that keeps people trapped in suffering. It is the desire to control things that were never within our control in the first place. If the first teaching helped you realize that not every thought is true, then the second teaching will show you why the mind keeps creating those thoughts in the first place. It is because the mind always wants to control life. Pay attention. Most of the things that make us overthink begin with the word if. What if I had said something different? What if that person had not left? What if everything gets worse tomorrow? What if I make the wrong decision? The mind keeps creating endless scenarios, not because it can see the future, but because it believes that if it thinks long enough, it will find a way to prevent pain from happening. But that is only an illusion. You can spend hours imagining tomorrow. That does not make tomorrow any more certain. You can analyze a conversation hundreds of times. That still cannot change the words that were already spoken. You can worry about losing someone you love, but that worry cannot make them stay. According to the Buddha's teachings, one of the deepest causes of suffering is trying to hold on to things that are always changing. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want relationships to remain the same forever. We want work to always go smoothly. We want the future to unfold exactly according to plan. But life has never promised that to anyone. Everything follows the law of impermanence. People change. Circumstances change. Even your own emotions change from day to day. When you try to control what cannot be controlled, you place yourself in a battle that no one can win. What is interesting is that many people think letting go means giving up, but that is not what the Buddha taught. Letting go does not mean you stop loving. It does not mean becoming indifferent, and it does not mean ignoring life. Letting go means no longer wasting your energy on things that are beyond your control. You can still love someone with all your heart, but you cannot control whether they love you in the way you want. You can still give your best at work, but you cannot decide that every result will turn out exactly as you hoped. You can still make plans for the future, but no one can guarantee that life will always follow those plans. When you accept this truth, something strange begins to happen. Your mind starts to feel lighter, not because every problem has disappeared, but because you are no longer carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. Perhaps peace does not come when life becomes perfect. Perhaps it comes when you stop trying to control everything that is imperfect. And once you let go of the need to control the world outside you, you will soon realize that an even more important journey lies ahead. It is the journey of learning to turn loneliness into a healing space of stillness instead of seeing it as a punishment from life. If you have begun to let go of the need to control everything, something very interesting will happen. You will start to experience more moments of silence. But those very moments of silence can make many people feel afraid, because when life becomes quieter, the mind begins to speak. There is no work left to keep you busy, no conversations to distract you, no constant notifications on your phone. There is only you and yourself. Many people think they are afraid of being alone, but the Buddha would say that what we truly fear is not being alone. We fear facing our own minds. That is why some people reach for their phones the moment they wake up. They need a video playing while they eat. They need music while driving. Before going to sleep, they scroll through social media until they are completely exhausted. Not because they always need entertainment, but because they do not want to hear the thoughts inside them. They are afraid of silence, but silence has never been the enemy. It is only a mirror. In stillness, you begin to see the things you have always tried to avoid. You realize that you are still angry with someone, still regretting something, still hoping that someone will come back. At first, this can feel deeply uncomfortable. You may want to get up and do something else. You may want to check your phone. You may want to find someone to talk to. You may want to fill the emptiness as quickly as possible. But if for the first time in years you choose to sit still for just a few more minutes, something remarkable will begin to happen. You will realize that emotions are like waves. If you do not fight them, they rise and eventually pass on their own. No sadness lasts forever. No loneliness remains forever. What makes these feelings stay longer is the fact that we keep running away from them. The Buddha did not see being alone as a punishment. On the contrary, many moments of awakening arise in stillness, not because stillness has some kind of magic, but because only when the mind is no longer being constantly pulled by the outside world can we begin to see clearly what is happening within. That is also the difference between loneliness and stillness. Loneliness is the feeling that you are missing someone in order to feel complete. Stillness is the realization that you are already complete even when you are alone. It is the moment when you no longer see solitude as a loss, but as an opportunity to return to yourself. You begin to listen to your breath, to observe each emotion as it appears, to drink a cup of tea without holding your phone, to walk without rushing, to look at the sky without feeling that you are wasting time. It is in these ordinary moments that the mind gradually begins to slow down. You no longer have to search for peace in other people, because you are learning to create it within yourself. Perhaps peace was never very far away. Perhaps it was only hidden beneath all the noise we unknowingly carry with us each day. But even after learning how to be still with yourself, there is still something that continues to cause suffering. We often resist what is happening in the present instead of opening ourselves to accept it. And that is the Buddha's fourth teaching. If stillness has helped you see your mind more clearly, then the Buddha's next teaching will help you understand why so much pain can remain even after you have tried to let go. It is because we often resist reality. Think about the times when life did not unfold the way you wanted. You lost a job you truly loved. Someone important chose to leave. A plan you had spent months preparing suddenly collapsed in a single day. Was your suffering caused only by what happened? Or was there also another voice echoing in your mind? This should not have happened. Things were supposed to be different. Why did this happen to me? That resistance creates a second layer of suffering. The event happens only once, but the mind repeats it hundreds of times. It constantly compares the present with an ideal version of life that it had imagined. The greater the distance between reality and expectation, the deeper the pain becomes. The Buddha taught that suffering does not come only from our circumstances. It also comes from our refusal to accept that those circumstances have changed. Many people misunderstand what acceptance means. They think acceptance means surrender, giving up, living passively. But that is not the true meaning of this teaching. Acceptance does not mean you like what is happening. It simply means seeing things as they truly are, instead of spending all your energy denying them. If it is raining, becoming angry at the rain will not make the sky clear again. If a relationship has ended constantly, wishing it had never ended will not bring that person back. If a loss has already happened, refusing to believe, it will only keep you trapped in suffering for longer. Strangely, when you stop resisting the present, you do not become weaker. You begin to regain the energy needed to change what can actually be changed. You stop fighting the past. You stop fearing the future. And for the first time in a long while, you are fully present in this moment. That is where all healing begins. Perhaps you will realize that all this time, you have not only been tired because of life, you have also been tired from trying to force life to match your expectations. But peace does not come when everything becomes perfect. Peace comes when you stop demanding that life be perfect before you allow yourself to be happy. Right now, take a slow, deep breath and ask yourself, what am I still resisting in my life? What has already changed, even though my heart has not yet accepted it? Sometimes, simply having the courage to answer those two questions is already a major step on the path of letting go. If the Buddha's teachings in this video are helping you see life with a lighter heart, take a second to press the like button. Your small action will not only help this channel reach more people who are in need of healing, but may also help someone trapped in loneliness and endless cycles of overthinking find their way back to themselves. Because after everything we have explored, there is still one final teaching, and it is also the most important one. When you truly understand it, you will realize that peace has never depended on life changing. It depends on how your mind remains present through every change. If the previous 4 teachings helped you recognize how the mind creates suffering, then the Buddha's final teaching will bring all of those pieces together. It is a very simple truth. What you have always been searching for in the outside world was never truly there. Think about what people spend almost their entire lives chasing. One person believes they will be happy when they find the right partner. Another believes that if they earn more money, all their worries will disappear. Some people wait until they become successful. Some wait until their children grow up. Some wait until retirement. And some are simply waiting for an apology that may never come. We keep placing peace somewhere in the future. When that time comes, I will be okay. But that time never seems to arrive. As soon as we achieve one thing we wanted, the mind immediately creates a new desire. As soon as one worry is resolved, it finds another. That is why so many people have everything they once dreamed of, yet still feel that something is missing. According to the Buddha's teachings, the problem is not life itself. The problem is that we keep searching for wholeness in things that are impermanent. People can change. Relationships can end. Health will not remain the same forever. Money can come and go, so can status and recognition. If your peace depends entirely on these things, then every time life changes, your mind will be carried away with it. But there is one thing no one can take from you. It is the way you choose to meet each moment of your life. The Buddha never promised that those who practice mindfulness would never suffer again. He never said that life would become easier. What he taught was that when you stop clinging, pain no longer has the power to control you. You may still miss someone, but you no longer allow that memory to decide how you live in the present. You may still feel sadness when you lose something precious, but you no longer see that loss as the end of your life. You may still live alone, but being alone no longer means being lonely. That is the difference between someone who is searching for peace and someone who has begun to live in peace. The first person keeps asking, how can I make life change? The second asks, how can I stop my mind from resisting the changes of life? Only one question is different, yet it can create 2 completely different lives. Perhaps peace was never a destination waiting at the end of the road. It appears in every moment when you stop trying to hold on to the past, when you stop fearing the future, when you stop demanding that life unfold exactly as you want, when you stop searching for your worth in the approval of others, and when you begin to return to your own mind and care for it. At that point, loneliness is no longer an emptiness that must be filled. It becomes a quiet space where you can understand yourself. Letting go is no longer a loss. It becomes a gift you give yourself after carrying unnecessary burdens for far too long. An inner peace is no longer something you have to chase. It has always been there, quietly waiting for you to release what was never truly yours to keep. Perhaps today's journey will not change your circumstances immediately, but if it helps you look at your own mind with greater gentleness, accept life more deeply, and let go little by little, then you have already taken a very important step on the path of healing. Because in the end, what sets us free is not a life without difficulty. It is a mind that is no longer bound by those difficulties. By this point, you may have realized that today's journey was never only about stopping overthinking. It was not only about loneliness either. What we were truly exploring was the way the mind creates suffering, then traps itself inside the very stories it keeps repeating. Perhaps in the past you believed that what you needed was an answer, an apology, someone to come back, a better situation, a more certain future. But after reflecting on the Buddha's teachings, you may now be able to see everything from a different perspective. Some things in life will never come with a perfect answer. Some people enter our lives only to teach us a lesson, and then they leave. Some losses cannot be undone. Some doors once closed will never open again. That does not mean life is against you. It is simply the nature of life. Everything changes. Everything is impermanent. And it is precisely because everything is impermanent that each present moment becomes so precious. Throughout this video, we have explored 5 important teachings together. You learned to recognize that a thought is not necessarily the truth. You understood that the more you try to control everything, the more restless the mind becomes. You discovered that being alone does not always mean being lonely, and that silence can become a place of healing when you are brave enough to remain with yourself. You realized that accepting the present does not mean surrendering. It means no longer fighting against what you cannot change. And finally, you understood that inner peace is not in the hands of another person. It is not found in a relationship. It is not found in a bank account. It is not found in social approval. It begins with the way you face your own mind. After this video ends, your life may not change immediately. Tomorrow, you may still wake up with unfinished work waiting for you. You may still have to face pressure. There may still be moments when you miss someone who once meant a great deal to you. Loneliness may still return without warning. There may still be nights when the mind tries to pull you back into the past or push you toward a future filled with fear. But one thing has changed. Now you know that you do not have to believe every thought that appears. You do not have to keep holding on to what has already left. You do not have to control every outcome. And you do not have to wait for life to become perfect before allowing yourself to feel at peace. Whenever you notice that you are trapped in a cycle of overthinking, you can pause, take a slow breath, observe what is happening in your mind, then gently return to the present moment. It may be as simple as feeling your breath, listening to birds outside the window, taking a quiet sip of tea, or simply smiling at yourself and acknowledging that you are still trying today. Do not expect letting go to happen overnight. Letting go is not a single decision. It is a choice you make again and again every day. Each time you choose not to follow a negative thought, you are letting go. Each time you accept something that cannot be changed, you are letting go. Each time you forgive yourself for mistakes from the past, you are letting go. And each time you return to the present moment, peace grows a little stronger within you. The Buddha never promised that this path would be free of tears, but he showed us that no one has to carry pain longer than necessary. We do not suffer because life is always difficult. We suffer because we often keep holding on to things that should have been set down long ago. Perhaps today is not the day you let go of everything. That is completely okay. Just let go of one thought today. Tomorrow, let go of one more fear. And in the days that follow, continue releasing one attachment at a time. Over time, you will realize that the weight your mind has been carrying has become much lighter. If today's journey has given you even one moment of peace, subscribe to Healing Journey Buddhist Meditation and continue walking with us. Each video will be a small step toward understanding the Buddha's wisdom more deeply and learning how to live with greater ease in a constantly changing world. Before you leave, I would like to leave you with one question to reflect on. If all suffering does not begin with what happens outside you, but with the attachment within your own mind, what is the first thing you will choose to let go of after this video ends? Carry that question with you today. Perhaps its answer will become the first step that brings you closer to the freedom and peace you have been searching for all this time.